Jennifer San Marco was the perpetrator in what was referred to as the Goleta Postal Facility Shootings. It was a spree killing perpetrated by her on January 30th, 2006. San Marco, a former United States Postal Service employee, shot and killed 6 people in Goleta, California, before taking her own life. Prior to the Goleta shooting, she shot and killed a former neighbor in nearby Santa Barbara. On the evening of January 30th, 2006, Jennifer San Marco embarked on a deadly rampage that began in Santa Barbara, California. She first returned to her former condominium complex and fatally shot Beverly Graham, a one-time neighbor with whom she'd previously clashed. A single bullet to the head ended Graham's life. From there, San Marco drove to the mail processing plant in Goleta, where she had once worked. Just after 9 p.m., she tailgated another vehicle through the facility's gate to gain access to the parking lot. Armed and determined, she confronted an employee, stole their ID badge at gunpoint, and forced them to hand it over so she could enter the secure staff entrance. She allowed the worker to leave unharmed, but her intentions were far from merciful. Outside, in the parking lot, San Marco shot Z. Fairchild in the head. She immediately turned her weapon on Malika Higgins, killing her at close range, and then gunned down Nicola Grant. Hearing the sudden eruption of gunfire, startled employees rushed to the windows. San Marco looked up at them and, chillingly, smiled. Panic set in as several workers fled to a nearby fire station for safety. Inside the plant, where about 80 employees were working, San Marco located and shot supervisor Charlotte Colton in the head. A coworker managed to drag Colton into a room, but she succumbed to her injuries 2 days later at Cottage Hospital. San Marco pressed on toward her former workstation, where she spotted Guadalupe Swartz. Swartz tried to escape, but was shot multiple times and died at the scene. Nearby, Dexter Shannon, a Vietnam veteran and grandfather, was wearing headphones and didn't hear the chaos erupting around him. San Marco approached and shot him at point-blank range, ending his life. After carrying out the mass shooting, she turned the gun on herself, dying by suicide with a single shot to the head. Back in Santa Barbara, authorities connected Beverly Graham's earlier murder to the Goleta shooting spree. Neighbors had reported hearing gunshots near the condo complex around 7:15 p.m. that evening. In the days that followed, the community gathered to mourn the victims. Over 200 people attended Charlotte Colton's funeral, where she was laid to rest at Cavalry Cemetery. Goleta's mayor, Johnny Wallace, held a news conference to condemn the tragedy, commend the swift police response, and extend heartfelt condolences to the victims and their families. So who exactly is this Jennifer San Marco? Let's break it down a little bit. Jennifer San Marco was born on December 6, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York, to Frank and Jeanette San Marco. She attended Edward R. Murrow High School and later Brooklyn College before enrolling at Rutgers University to study natural resources management. Though she didn't complete her degree, San Marco eventually moved to California in 1989, where she took on a variety of roles. One of her earliest positions was as a guard at Chuckawalla Valley State Prison, a medium security facility in Blythe. She left the job just 2 days before her probationary period ended, without explanation, despite being considered a capable employee. Over the years, San Marco bounced between several jobs. In the mid-1990s, she served as a dispatcher for the Santa Barbara Police Department, a position that required both a background check and psychological evaluation. She left after only a few months. She later worked at a high school cafeteria, but quit in 2000. Eventually, she bought a condominium and secured a job as a clerk with the United States Postal Service. But in 2003, her employment came to a bizarre and public end when she was discovered crawling under a mail sorting machine. Police were called, and she was wheeled out in handcuffs. Though she briefly returned to the workplace, another episode of erratic behavior led to her permanent removal. Notably, in 2001, she had also been placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold at a Ventura mental hospital. By 2004, San Marcos' life had taken an even more peculiar turn. When her car broke down in Grants, New Mexico, she decided to stay in the small town, and quickly became known for her increasingly bizarre behavior. Locals witnessed her talking, or sometimes yelling, to herself, placing food orders at restaurants, only to flee before eating and stripping naked in public places like parking lots. She was often seen praying by the roadside, speaking to an imaginary companion, shouting death threats and offensive rap lyrics, and making racist comments. Her erratic conduct extended to interactions with neighbors, such as when she showed off her new tattoos to a woman named Jeannie Steen, then circled her in silence and spat on the ground when Steen didn't react. In July 2004, she applied for a business license to publish a newsletter she called The Racist Press, but was denied. At one point, she also attempted to register a cat food company, which was rejected because she lived in an unincorporated area. During the application process, she often spoke to herself during interviews. After the license denial, she repeatedly returned to the office and stared at an employee named Sonia Salazar, prompting staff to hide when she appeared. In one disturbing incident, she accused Salazar of sleeping with someone, leading to a police call. Her run-ins with law enforcement were frequent. Once, she appeared naked at a gas station, though by the time officers arrived, she was clothed and received only a warning. Another time, she was admonished for driving partially nude. Before leaving town, she sold her condominium and told people she was heading to visit a sister on the East Coast. In November of that year, Darlene Hayes, a mental health clinic manager, spotted San Marco kneeling beside her car in a post office parking lot talking to herself. When Hayes asked what she was doing, San Marco cryptically replied, "They pray before they get in," referring to a sister and brother she believed were with her. Hayes contacted police, but according to official records, the call was never logged. Meanwhile, a local propane delivery man recalled San Marco as polite and responsible, always paying her bills on time, but noted she often seemed deep in conversation with an invisible companion. In the aftermath of the massacre, investigators uncovered disturbing writings in Jennifer San Marco's New Mexico residence that shed light on her fractured mental state. According to authorities, these documents revealed a deep-rooted paranoia. San Marco appeared to believe she was the target of a sinister conspiracy centered at the Goleta Postal Facility where she once worked. A spokesman for the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office later suggested that her delusions, coupled with a well-documented history of mental illness, likely fueled the deadly rampage. There were also signs that racism may have played a role in her actions. 6 of the victims were minorities. 3 were Black, 1 was Chinese American, 1 Hispanic, and 1 Filipino, raising the possibility that racial bias influenced her decisions. In the case of Beverly Graham, the woman she murdered prior to the postal facility shooting, the motive may have been more personal. The two had reportedly clashed in the past. According to Graham's boyfriend, San Marco would frequently stand outside and sing loudly for no reason, and Graham had told her brother that San Marco would rant and rave in front of her building. Her writings, filled with errors and bizarre logic, included disjointed explanations of world religions and conspiratorial theories tying the U.S. government to serial killer David Berkowitz, the Ku Klux Klan, and a pattern of racially motivated murders. Among the documents was a diary spanning over 100 pages, obsessively cataloging perceived slights and personal offenses by various individuals, evidence of a mind unraveling under the weight of its own delusions. One auto body worker later recalled San Marco venting about how the Postal Service had wronged her. She never mentioned harming anyone, but ominously stated that they would have to pay, a chilling hint that revenge may have been a central motive. In the lead-up to the massacre, San Marco legally obtained the murder weapon and ammunition from 2 separate pawn shops, one in Grants, the other in Gallup, passing background checks without issue. She also cut her hair into a short buzz cut. a drastic change that left her nearly unrecognizable. It's believed this alteration in appearance may have helped her gain access to the postal building undetected on the night of the shooting. In total, San Marco killed 7 people in under 10 minutes. She never left a manifesto. No final words. Just silence. Each victim had a story. The first person, Beverly Graham, was a community member and possibly killed due to unresolved personal conflict. The second person, Z. Fairchild, age 37, was remembered for his warm demeanor. The third person, Malika Higgins, age 28, was known for her dedication and energy. The fourth person, Nicola Grant, age 42, was a committed postal employee. The fifth person, Charlotte Colton, age 44, was a supervisor who tried to help others even in her final moments. The sixth person, Guadalupe Swartz, aged 52, was a seasoned worker and beloved friend. The seventh person, Dexter Shannon, aged 57, was a father figure to many at the facility. And of course, in the end, Jennifer San Marco also turned the firearm on herself and took her own life. Thanks for watching and listening, and subscribe for more Evil Women videos.